I'm Dave Crane. Now I also do gigs like this. And I can train you to be able to work with people like this. And then you also can do gigs like this. Come join me and we'll take your speaking to a whole new level. Hello, it's me, Dave Crane. Welcome to Speak on Stage. I've got my Union flag shirt on today, my rugby shirt, which I've not worn for ages because it's about the only thing that fits me anymore. I really need to start getting fit. How are you? Have you been good? Have you been bad? Have you been a bit of the other? The other's always good. We're going live out to lots of different places, to be honest with you. We're going out live to LinkedIn. We're going out live to Facebook. We're going out live to Periscope. And that goes into Twitter and also to YouTube. And somebody said to me the other day, what's Periscope? And I said, well, why don't you just Google it and find out? And they Googled it and they came back and said, it's a thing that you get on top of the submarine that allows you to see what's going on. And after that, I had to say, well, technically it's a... Yes. And it is a very much, definitely a... Absolutely. But the problem is you're way off. So what it is a platform for being able to stream live, but it only stays there for 24 hours. Now, that's not bad, 24 hours. Problem is that everyone else has stole the thunder when I first started doing Periscope. Very exciting. But since then, everyone's got the ability to go live and everyone's got the ability to do stories that sit there for 24 hours. You know, like Instagram stories and Facebook stories and LinkedIn stories, all the rest of it. So it's not quite as exciting as it used to be, but it's there and people do watch it on there. And hello, if you're watching in particular from Periscope. So it's good to see you. Today's show I'm very excited about for lots of different reasons, not least the fact that the stuff we're going to be sharing on today, oh, by the way, I may well unbox this for you today. I've been talking about this for a little while, and I should give you a close-up so you can have a little look at that. Look at that. What's in here? Ooh, David, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? Show me more. Show me more. No, I'm not going to show you yet. It's a secret. Is that fair enough? Is it fair? Why? Well, you know, anyway, today's on the money. If you've been stuck in lockdown and you're getting very stressed, and even you're not stuck in lockdown, but you feel you really don't want to go out, or you're stuck with people that you love, but you're not getting on with at the moment, and you feel that if you do anything about it, it could all come crashing around your ears. And so it's a self-talk that's really playing havoc with you. And for many people, that's the case. For many people, it's not just the way the world is. You've felt like this all the way through anyway, and it's perfectly normal. Your subconscious mind should be your friend. It should talk to you. It should allow you to feel differently about stuff. But sometimes it's a real challenge because it knows you too well, and you can't BS yourself enough. Does that make sense? Does it? Right away. Thank you. So the problem is that you are your own worst enemy and your own worst supporter, and it's really hard to be able to make your life get more exciting and more lucrative and get more options if you're holding yourself back. Do you know what I mean? Sure thing. Thank you. I'm going to carry on with this disembodied voice. And what I should do actually is I should say this is a voice, the proper voice of Groot. I should say when he talked to Groot, he used to say, I'm Groot. But instead, he just goes, no. Or he says, certainly. See, that's the voice of Groot. For now, until I get bored. Is that okay with you? Of course. There you go, he's quite happy with that. So, we're going to be sharing a ton of stuff today, and I'm going to be digging deep into my NLP training, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and that's how your mind works. Before we start anything, I want you to make sure that you've got yourself a drink, because we've got a lot to unpackage today. So with that, I've got my cup of tea today. I've already had my coffee, my little shot of coffee. And the last couple of days, I've been a little bit tired. And I'll tell you exactly why I've been tired. It's because I've been studying a thing called Art of Living with my friends from Sky Schools. And that was Ilan and Kirti, who will get on the show at some point in the future and introduce you to a whole new way of being able to deal with stress, anxiety, positive feelings and vibes and all sorts. It's really good. And it's about changing the way you breathe and doing a number of different breathing exercises, which allows you to get a dopamine rush. It frees up the endorphins. It gets rid of a lot of the stress that's in you and just makes you feel a ton better. Now the problem is that I've got to find the right time for doing it because I'm on a 40-day course and I've been doing it very early in the morning, which is fantastic until you have to do your show, because two things happen. Now my gorgeous daughter Maya is going back to school. It means that I have to consider the fact that if she comes in on a morning just having woken up and I'm sitting there going or even and lots of other stuff like that. She's going to walk in and the first thing she's going to do is go, "Dad, what are you doing?" And the second thing she's going to go is, "Are you smelling your own thoughts?" Which of course is not true. I mean, I do, but I wasn't. And so in that case, it's not true. But what I want to share with you instead of that is the fact that I've got to find the right time to do it. Because as soon as I finish my show, I'm busy doing stuff. And the best time to do it is first thing in the morning. So I don't want to do it before I go to bed, because then I'll be completely spaced out and I probably won't sleep. I don't want to do it first thing when I wake up, because my daughter's going to say the obvious thing I just said there. "Dad, are you?" And the answers? See? But I have to find the right time to do it because it's really important, because especially dealing with stress, anxiety, loneliness, depression, financial challenges, the lack of love in your life, any of those things that would come along to hurt you, your business concerns, everything can be really well dealt with when you do breathing techniques. We'll be doing a whole show on that in a later date. But today I want to talk about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Now, Neuro-Linguistic Programming was created by John Grinder and Richard Bandler in the 70s. And what they did was they profiled and studied what high achievers managed to do with their lives. The ones that are really significant and do really well. What do they do differently from other people who do okay, but are equally skilled or even better skilled, but don't achieve as much as those key people do? And with that, they studied it and created, it's almost like a martial art of how your mind works to be able to get you through all the stressy type stuff and get you to be able to do stuff like that. Now, you're probably wondering and saying, "Dave, yeah, fine with that, but also, hypnosis, NLP, that's all made up, isn't it? It can't be true. I've tried it myself, didn't work." That's what I get from a lot of people.
Why not?
I don't know why we say that.
Yes.
Exactly. What we should say is, it's very good for you. But I do it, and I don't do stuff that I don't believe in. I've done energy healing, and it works. I've done what do you call it? So pranic healing works, hypnosis, NLP, life coaching, business coaching, and a number of other things, and the art of living as well, which is fantastic now, Sky Schools, which we'll talk about more in the future. I don't do stuff unless I see them actually working. If I've done some stuff and it's a bit culty, I've done some stuff and it's a bit weird, and it doesn't work, then I just go, if it doesn't work for me, then as far as I'm concerned, it didn't work for me. Not saying I'm great at everything, but a lot of the stuff that people would say is complementary medicine or a bit weird, they say, yeah, but that can't be real. Most of it has a reason for being there. Some of it is because people buy into it too much. But we will talk about cults and religions and stuff in a later show, certainly not in this one. But what I will let you see, first of all, is how your mind works. I'm going to show you in a moment a clip about hypnosis, when I'm doing a hypnosis routine on stage where I program a whole load of people to have a different reaction every time I anchor them with something. So I anchor them to have a different reaction every time I tap on their shoulder and say a certain word or a certain phrase. They react by coming back and doing a certain thing. And this particular clip you're about to see, this is a gentleman who's been trained to think that when he hears a barking noise, he's lost his dog, right? And I tell him what his dog's name is, and yes, it is a bit rude, but this is a genuine thing that you're about to see, and I've done this routine many times with people all around the world. It's hilarious, and it's 100% real. Now, I love your thoughts, I love your comments, I love your shares. If you're watching on any particular platform, make sure you're connected to me. Subscribe on YouTube as well, because I do some secret stuff in there that most people never get to see, but I put it there specifically for you. So meanwhile, I'd love your thoughts on this. This is the lost dog routine for one of my shows on SpeakOnstage. What's his name? What's your dog's name?
Bend over.
Right, let's stand there. You people are going to shout nice and loud. Keep looking. Might go there, Silly. Keep looking. It's around here somewhere. Give me a hand. Has anyone seen the dog? Yeah, up there. Up there. Keep looking. Okay. Keep looking, it's around there somewhere. You don't want to get in the room. Keep looking. Keep looking, it's around there somewhere. Be very careful as you go. Be very careful as you go. Keep looking, keep looking. Right, anyway.
Went down?
You'll have to walk up the aisle.
It's very quick. Go down the side.
Any more change? Keep any look. What's his name? Right, okay.
Where are you?
Keep looking. So there you go, that's 100% real. As you can see, I look a little bit younger with blonde hair. Now it's just all grey, but it's still there. And that's literally just using the words you use to program the way people think and the way that people react. And it sounds ridiculous, but it is true. And all around us, we get the news, we get our friends, our family, the people we care about, people we don't like. We get incidents, we get a number of different things that program the way that we view the world. And it can be incredibly challenging if that programming makes it really difficult for you to exist in the way that you want to. So what I want to do is, this show is dedicated to the simple fact that right now, many people are feeling in lockdown. Many people want help, and it feels like the whole world suddenly hates you. And I understand that. I understand the experience that you're feeling right now. And I want to be able to help you as much as possible. Today's show is dedicated to lots of tricks, especially with anxiety. I'm going to be sharing with you for the reaching out section why social anxiety is such a big challenge. I'll also be sharing with you how to deal with stress versus anxiety, see what the two are, and they have different reasons for being there. All this stuff is there to protect us, by the way. It's just sometimes it does stuff that doesn't seem to really help us. And I'm also going to be sharing with you how to reframe anxiety so you don't deal with it in a way that it cripples you and makes you feel terrible, makes you feel like a loser, but in fact it makes you empowered so you can go forward and do some amazing stuff. So that's coming up in today's show. I'm also going to be sharing with you some stuff about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, that I mentioned earlier.
Absolutely.
And a lot of things in NLP. I use NLP for business a lot. I train people in NLP for when it's combined with emotional intelligence and it's combined with communication for sales, and it's combined with leadership qualities. It's really powerful, especially as a coach and a mentor, to help people to progress through the levels that we need to. And so I'm going to be doing a section of a deep dive on NLP, specifically looking at the levels, the 6 levels of the logical levels of existence that you start off with and how you build yourself up. It's like Maslow's triangle. And once you know what the bottom is, you can move your way up through the 6 levels and understand how you fit in with the outside world. And at the end of it, you should understand that once you've progressed through all those levels, you can concentrate on your higher purpose. And your higher purpose is really interesting because it means that you don't have to spend all that time worrying about who you are and what's going on. You can focus on what you really want to contribute to the world. And when you focus on what you can contribute to the world, what happens is you start disregarding all those little things on a daily basis that used to bother you because the bigger things are better. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave. Thank you so much. And then after that, we're going to be looking at exactly how to reframe the way that you relate to the world. There are a number of ways of dealing with stress and anxiety. I'm going to share with you a ton of them with the cheat sheets. So that's today's show. I hope you're excited about it. Any questions, any thoughts, any of the usual, just let me know. I'll unbox this for you now, actually, if you're excited. Do you want me to, if you say yes, if enough people say yes, I'll share it with you. I'll show you exactly what it is. Come on, say yes. More people. Look, I'm going to tell you what it is. You can get one. In fact, I'll be able to find out how much it is. Really good. It's a stress toy. Yeah, are you ready? Okay, good. This is it. It's kind of cool. It's like a Rubik's Cube, right? And especially used for people who have PTSD or people who get really wound up a lot. And each side of this disc, I'm going to show you here, I'll show you like that so you can see it better. Hold on my left hand. So each side of this disc has a thing on it that you can turn or press. So here's an on-off switch. Here, you've got a button you can press in. Here you've just got 4 buttons that all go in and out. And here you've got like a ball bearing and some flip switches. And all it is just literally, as you get wound up sometimes and you want to de-stress, this gives you lots of interesting things to distract you. There's even one bit here that's just a gap. It's a little dip here. I don't know if you can see that very well. Where literally with that, sometimes you just want to feel like you're in the groove. And so it's one of those things that it's not of any particular function, apart from it just sometimes makes you feel better to think that you can distract yourself from playing with that. And that's my new stress toy, because I broke that one and I thought I'm going to get something even better. And it's really rather cool. Do you like that?
No.
Oh, come on, don't be like that. Don't you think it's cool one little bit?
I said no.
If I gave it to you for free, would you like it?
Right away.
Exactly. It's SpeakOnstage. It's SpeakOnstage, but we're changing it back today, one time only, to SpeakOnstage.
You know, as social distancing and self-quarantine become more common to prevent the spread of COVID-19, people are losing face-to-face contact with others. Health reporter Stephanie Stahl joins us now to explain how that increases the risk for problems with loneliness and isolation. Steph?
Yeah, you know, Yuki, there are all kinds of mental health issues related to this COVID-19 pandemic. Anxiety levels are skyrocketing. And now that people are being separated, it's important to guard against getting depressed. Social distancing to stop the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic means staying 6 feet away from each other. And with schools and businesses closing, people are separated, increasing feelings of loneliness and isolation.
We need relationships to maintain positive psychological health, so we should make time to figure out those. Even in the current climate.
Andrew Abeda, a professor of psychology at Rutgers University, says in a crisis situation, it's especially important for people to stay connected, not physically, but on the phone or computer.
It's just, the way that we're wired psychologically. Social support is really important in helping us manage stress and anxiety.
Studies have shown loneliness can be as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Feelings of isolation and loneliness can also increase the risk of depression, high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, and reduced immune response.
Call your friends, call your neighbors, see how everyone's doing. Connect by Skype, do Google Hangouts. There's an awful lot we can do electronically these days without a physical connection to help people out, and this is the time to do it.
Staying connected can help guard against unhealthy coping mechanisms, which can include drinking and eating too much.
Other people provide us with love, support, encouragement. They can provide us with a sense of meaning, purpose in life.
And, you know, it is also especially important to stay connected to the elderly who are already usually more isolated and lonely. Keeping people emotionally healthy through this crisis is critical, and there are lots of resources online and on the phone. We have all that for you at cbsphilly.com/health. Yuki?
So important. Stephanie, thank you. And we invite you to stay connected to Eyewitness News for continuing coverage of the outbreak and the effort to contain it. When we are not on television, you can always find the latest developments at CBSN Philly and on our website, cbsphilly.com. And that includes the growing list of closures around our region.
So there we are. I like that. It kind of feels quaint now to look back at people first discovering the impact of COVID. But the thing was, most of us expected it to go away. We thought that what would happen is in a very short amount of time, you'd be in lockdown for maybe 2-3 weeks, and then we'd find a vaccine or a solution, or it would just go away and the governments would do something about it. And after no time at all, you could go back to work and do stuff. For many of us, you thought that we knew that digitization was coming, and it would be about a year, 2 years away, but right now it's here. And many people haven't caught up, and many people are just finding it really difficult to reskill or change things because they just feel in mental lockdown. Now, as a hypnotherapist, I've worked in that space now for best parts of what? About 20, 25 years as a practicing certified hypnotherapist and life coach, business coach. So I've got quite a good awareness of the challenges that people have to deal with. And one of the biggest things you have to deal with is just understanding the difference between stress and anxiety, because you can feel them both, and isolation, and you can feel loneliness, you can feel depression, and these are all things that are like itches that you can't scratch. But I want to share with you now a video that really shows you the difference between anxiety and stress. So then once you know what they are, you can label them properly and deal with them as solutions. Because right now you've got a brick wall in front of you. And for many people, this picture that I chose to host today's show, which is this, how to live in a world that hates you, is really exactly the way that they feel. The truth is, the world doesn't hate you. The world doesn't care. Just like when you turn around and say, people say this and people say that. Which people? One or two people might say, but most people don't care. Why? Because they're too busy doing their own thing. And more people on the planet are scared right now than they've ever had before. And that's why I spend time doing this show. And it's not easy to do this show. I'm not going to say blow my own trumpet, but some days I don't feel like doing it. Some days I don't feel like doing anything. But I force myself. It's a kind of therapy for me, and it's a gift to you that I want to be able to share with you. Even one person being affected in a positive way by doing this show makes it all worthwhile to me. That's why I spend the time doing it, and that's why hopefully it makes a big difference for you to be able to experience it more than anything. So with this next video, I want you to be able to understand the difference between anxiety and stress. And I love your thoughts and comments. Please keep them coming. Even if you just say hi, it makes a difference to me because it lets me know that I'm going in the right direction. And what I do Speak on Stage is making a difference to you. Thank you.
Stress and anxiety. We often use these two words interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. Stress is a response to a threat in a situation, your body's reaction to a challenge, which can vary in length and severity. Anxiety, on the other hand, stems from fear. According to David Spiegel, Stanford University's Associate Chair of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences, we usually know what's worrying us when we feel stressed. But with anxiety, you're less aware of what you're anxious about, and the reaction becomes the problem. Being anxious every once in a while is okay. It's a normal response that often motivates us to meet deadlines or avoid dark alleys at night. But if you experience anxiety so frequently that it affects your work, relationships, and health, you may have an anxiety disorder. Common symptoms of excessive anxiety include rapid heartbeat, an upset stomach, irritability, inability to concentrate, fear of being crazy, and feeling unreal or not in control of your actions. Anxiety is the most common mental illness in the U.S. About 40 million adults deal with an anxiety disorder at some point in their lives. And anxiety disorders affect 18% of the U.S. population. There are different kinds of anxiety disorders: social anxiety, panic disorders, and specific phobias, for example. Generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, is the most common. Anxiety disorders typically have more than one cause. Most researchers agree that there is a genetic component to anxiety, along with factors like upbringing, emotional trauma, and even a physical illness. One of the most common causes of anxiety is stress. In a 2015 study from Duke University, researchers found that experiencing major life stressors, like a death in the family or personal injury, increases the likelihood of developing anxiety for people whose brains showed increased reactivity to fearful stimuli. Major life stressors increase people's chances of developing anxiety for a period of up to 4 years after the event. And a 2006 Harvard Medical School study showed that chronic stress was linked with anxiety in mice. So how do you deal with anxiety? First, make sure to visit a mental health professional if you think you're suffering from a disorder. Talk therapy can normalize brain function to reduce anxiety. Plus, many anxiety disorders are the result of a chemical imbalance that can be treated with medication. Second, talk it out with a friend. Research shows that face-to-face interactions work better than phone calls or chatting online in terms of reducing both depression and anxiety. Third, hit up a park. Research from the University of Queensland in Australia suggests that spending just 30 minutes a week in nature can reduce your risk of anxiety. Fourth, try talking to yourself in the third person. This might sound weird, but a study from the University of Buffalo suggests that this kind of self-distancing can help calm anxiety. And finally, don't beat yourself up if you're feeling anxious. Research from UC Berkeley shows that judging yourself for experiencing negative emotions will actually make you feel worse.
So there you have it, some instant solutions to being able to deal with anxiety and stress. Going out for a walk is always good, and even if you are sort of isolated, generally most places allow you to leave the house for a certain amount of time, whether it's going for a walk or do some exercise, head to the park, or even go into your garden. Do something that allows you just to feel nature and get plenty of, is it vitamin D? I think it is what you get from sunlight on your skin, which can also perk you up and make you feel a lot better as well. Very important to do that. We're going to be looking next at a video, and I love this video in particular because it's a little bit long, it's probably about 6 minutes, but it covers everything you need to know to be able to go back in time to the times that you've suffered from this before, but you couldn't find an answer to it. Many people, what you've got is you've got a compounding of things where you just cover it up. And you know, deep below, at the center of it, you've got challenges. Let's put this in perspective, because I haven't done anything on relationships, but I may do that in the future. But have you ever found that if you get in an argument with your partner, excuse me, it could be the fact that you have a tiny little argument and it just blows into this full-blown crazy argument. And the reason for that is because it compounds. You had an argument ages ago and then you ignored it. You had another argument, you ignored it. It's like 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. And it also goes like that. So you end up with this big pile. But this big pile only needs to have one more thing on top of it, and suddenly it's the tipping point. Bang! The whole thing explodes. And so often things that happen to you in your life can really compound. And you just pile things on top of it and you ignore it all. But when they do explode, it goes all the way back. And that's why it feels so bad right now. It's not that it is that bad right now. It's not great, but it's not that bad. But if you haven't dealt with things that happened before and you haven't come to peace with yourself, or found mechanisms that allow you to be able to reframe and deal differently with it, then those things are still going to be there and very much in front of you. Let me share with you, before we do this, a little diagram of how your mind works. Let me see if I can find this for you. Okay. So there we go. I'll go through this very quickly because today's show is not really about teaching you about how to do hypnotherapy and so on. But if you have a look here, then you should be able to see that there's a wavy line. The wavy line is about, if I can just stick my finger up here, level with my finger, right about there, okay? So that wavy line, imagine it's an iceberg, and that is the water. So above the surface is the stuff you get to deal with all the time. That is your conscious mind. So your willpower, your short-term memory, your critical ability, all those things are in there. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave. So all those things are the things that you can normally change around. But all the big things are below the surface, and they're the most difficult ones to deal with. So let's have a look at that. So with that, you've got your habits, your beliefs, your long-term memory, your values, and your emotions. Now, emotions are particularly important because emotions is where you're going to find stress and you're going to find anxiety for emotional responses. Now, that's below the surface. It's like an itch that you can't naturally scratch. So you have to be able to find a way of changing the way that you deal with it. And NLP and hypnosis are about reframing it. So have a look at this diagram and imagine that with hypnosis and NLP, you turn them the other way around. So for instance, when that guy was looking for a lost dog at the beginning of a show, I put him into hypnosis and his imagination, all the stuff below the surface that you normally keep under check and keep control, goes to the top, and all your normal faculties that say be sensible and think about it properly go to the bottom. So therefore people can be incredibly creative and really powerful. But if you're talking like you are right now, and you've got an anxiety issue or depression or something that emotionally is hurting, it's below the surface. You need to go into a trance state, or you can access it through NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Neuro for brain, linguistic for language, and programming for commands that change the way that you feel about things are under the bonnet of the way that your mind works. So in this case, under the iceberg. So everything, your senses, your protective factor, your values, your imagination, all those things are in your subconscious mind below the surface. And so the next video will teach you a way of how to reframe the relationship you have with yourself and the relationship you've had with you in the past, which is very, very effective for changing the way if you had relationship problems or shyness, or you kept feeling that you were put down and society hated you. And you may feel that because you're kind of in lockdown, but you're still going to pay rent. You're still going to make sure the bills get paid and all the rest of it. These are brutal because the world around you is changing. Then this is a really effective way to do business differently, starting off with the business that you do in your own mind. So I hope this works for you as well. How to reframe anxiety. That's up next on Speak on Stage.
This is the boy. He's our hero. He's embarking on his life. The standard life stuff. He has to go through school, he has to make friends, deal with embarrassments in class, decide if he's going to be the bully or the bullied, or maybe someone standing on the sidelines. He has to decide if he's going to take the leap to go talk to that girl at his school, or if he's going to puss out. He has to get good grades, enjoy recess, graduate, navigate the complex social environments that is high school. Then there's college or his degree. Does he even want to go for higher education? What does he like? He'll have relationships, family drama, betrayals, and politics on the playground and at work. He'll be playing the game of accumulating resources. We'll embark on a fairly similar journey as we come of age. We all have to try things, learn about ourselves, and discover who we're meant to be. Our life is a series of decisions leading us to where we end up going and becoming who we're going to become. But each decision carries with it the possibility to end one life. Every action cuts off another action. We can't do everything. We have to choose. So how do we choose wisely? Let me talk to you a little bit about a mindset that will help you make the proper decision. If our boy decides to go say hello to that girl on the playground, and she tells him he's gross, that tiny event can reverberate through the rest of his life. It seems like a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but this one event can change his entire trajectory. But it's not for the event itself. His entire life can change based on how his mind interprets the result of his action. If you attempt something and you fail, that failure can lead to you no longer pursuing what you want to, for fear of failing again. There's a simple trick used in cognitive behavioral therapy that can bypass this and reset your mindset, to give you the best chance at absorbing the blows of life and turning negatives into positives. It's called reframing. Our boy earlier, when he was rejected on the playground, he can think two things. This girl doesn't like me. It must be because I'm worthless. It's because I'm ugly. It's because I'm not cool. It's because of this, or this, or this. The reasons are limitless. He can take that and not put himself out there the next time the opportunity arises. When the next girl he likes appears, instead of playing to win and going for it, he can just not move, not enter into the arena, and not face the pain of failure once again. He won't get rejected by the girl, but he won't get her either. This avoidance of acute pain breeds something much more sinister and much longer lasting. A lifetime of mediocrity spent avoiding criticism. His mindset tells him that rejection is bad, that failure is bad, that in order to avoid pain, he needs to avoid putting himself in situations where he can get rejected, apply only to jobs he knows he can get, schools he knows he can get accepted to, talk to girls who won't reject him. But then, he's not pushing his boundaries. He's staying in his comfort zone. And your comfort zone is not where you get what you want. When you leave your comfort zone, you're by definition putting yourself on the line. You're putting yourself at risk of failing. Now what happened if you thought something else? If when he said hello to that girl and she rejected him, what if you thought, she likes me, she's just embarrassed. Maybe I just didn't approach this properly and I need to try a different approach next time. It's not the end of the world. I have value and she just can't see it. Or maybe this girl is just dumb as fuck and I don't want her to say yes anyways. Maybe it's not accurate according to reality, but what is reality really? Finding objective reality is a topic for another video entirely, but the fact remains, if he thinks his approach to this girl was wrong, he wants to try a different approach, on a different girl, on a different playground. That didn't work either? Let's switch it up again. The key here is that he's not taking it personally. He's not letting this affect his self-image. If you fear failure, defeat, embarrassment, take all that personally, you're going to shy away from it. I say we reframe this, because if you're going to live the life you need to live, you're going to need to believe in yourself. Every setback isn't because you're worthless and you're not cut out for this. Every setback is an opportunity to learn, make adjustments, and try again. If our hero takes this approach, this rejection on the playground will be a distant memory. He'll push past it. This isn't just a technique for speaking to girls at school. This is something for how you talk to yourself all day. If you beat yourself up, stress about money, consider yourself worthless, then that's what will manifest in your world. Every decision that we make in life can shape our life into what we want it to be. But if our map is wrong, if our mindset is wrong, then we aren't going to go anywhere that we want to go. We need to reframe how we speak to ourselves. That critic inside of our heads that tells us we aren't good enough, that we don't have the qualifications. Reframe your negative thoughts. You didn't fail that test, it bamboozled you. You're not stupid, you just didn't prepare enough. Fix that next time. Instead of stressing, instead of telling yourself negative things, learn to love yourself. Recognize the thoughts you have in your mind that are self-defeating and come up with reframes for them. You are cut out for this. You are a champion, and you are going to succeed. If you think this, if you approach things from this perspective, you're more likely to dare to try. You're more likely to put things on the line, because failure isn't bad, rejection isn't fatal, and you're going to make it. So take a look at the thoughts you have throughout the day, write down the ones that are negative and self-defeating, and then sit down and figure out ways you can positively reframe those negative thoughts into ones that help you. It won't be an overnight change, but as weeks and months and years pass, you'll find yourself shaping your mindset into one of self-love and care, which will translate directly to positivity and achievement. And when things don't go right, you won't be down for the count. You'll have the tools to pick yourself back up and make the proper next step. Click here to watch some more videos about mindset or productivity.
Hello, welcome back. SpeakOnstage, Dave Crane. It's me. Hello, how are you? It's been interesting so far, don't you think? Give us your comments, your thoughts, and shares and likes as always. I want to share lots of stuff which you probably might not have gone through before. This is actually quite in depth. The people who've studied Nlp Neuro-Linguistic Programming, you probably already know this. If you don't know it, then it's an interesting insight for you that you can park. You can pay attention to it and park it to one side, because there is a system for being able to understand how you fit in with the world. And I find this one really interesting. We will be doing some more on it later on when we go into our cheat sheets. With a deep dive, let's start off with this from a website called Toolshero. And it's about the logical levels, the 6 logical levels to consider when it comes to actually putting your life together and wondering how you fit with everything. I'm not going to do too much on the actual background to this, because I don't think it's as important as actually getting into what they actually do. But the idea is that each of that, see this diagram here? Can you see that? I'll just expand it slightly to there. All right, so this gives you, okay, the 6 logical levels that you can think of. So I'll just go through them very quickly. At the bottom, we've got environment. Next, you've got, let me just expand it so you can see it. So here we are. Environment, behavior, skills, convictions, identity, and mission or goal. Okay, so the idea is that you then work through asking yourself questions that allows you to understand how you fit in. And they all line up. You've got to go through one to then go on to the next one, next one, next one, next one, next one. And at the top, it's like a pyramid. And it's almost like going up a ladder. If you can't make your way through one of them, you've got to reframe the way you feel about it. And when you feel that you got that worked out, then you can graduate to the next. Does that make sense to you?
Sure thing.
Thank you, good. Okay, hold a minute. Just hold this moment for a cup of tea. With a bit of a slurp. I just have to slurp, sorry about that. There we go. And also, there's a stress toy which I showed you earlier. There you go. I got it from Amazon, I think, and it was probably about $10 or something. I can't remember, because my wife keeps an eye on all the receipts and says, "Did you just spend money on that?" "Yes, I did." "Why?" And I go, "No, I just bought it." And I make a noise that only wives and dogs can hear.
Certainly.
Exactly. So with this, I want to go through the logical levels, starting off at the very bottom, with the environment. The environment is the world around you. That's where we are right now. So are you in a good environment, a bad environment? Do you feel that you've got a great environment around you? Do you feel that it's conducive to bring out the best in you? Or do you feel stifled? That could be your spiritual environment. It could be your physical environment. It could be your emotional content that is created by the people around you. All those things tie into your environment, and whatever you decide that you want that to be. It could be that you've got to change location, change house, change room, change country. Or just change where you think about yourself, as we've got in that previous video, which I think was brilliant, about how to reframe yourself. And when he was saying, why would that girl not be interested in you? Probably because he had no eyes and ears and nose. That would probably be a bit of a turn-off. But that's just my little criticism. So once you've got the environment and you look at behavior, that's the next thing on the pyramid. Your own behavior. So with that, how do you react to the things around you? What do people do to you? What do they say to you? How do you react to them? If somebody was to meet you for the first time, do you behave in a way that allows you to feel that you're growing and to feel that you've got something that can take you to the next level? If not, that's something you should really consider. Next up is the skill sets that you need. What do you need to do to raise your game? That's what gives you the possibilities, because if you're happy that your environment's right, and you feel that the behavior of what you do is about okay, but you don't know how to get to where you need to go next, you can learn the skills, get the training, get somebody to mentor you so you can then move forward. Does that make sense? Next up, we've got your convictions. How much do you believe in your own values, your own mission, your standards of success? Do you think you can do it? If you do think you can do it, you can. If you don't believe you can do it, then it doesn't matter what you think, because you won't be able to do anything about it. So you've got to have really strong convictions and ways of reframing. So that means, for instance, if you do something and it doesn't work out the way you want it to, and you're being frustrated, have you had that before?
Of course.
Exactly. You feel that I can do something about it, but everything keeps getting in the way, which winds you up.
Nope.
Does it wind you up?
No.
Does it wind you up?
Why not?
Exactly. So what you've got to do then is you've got to reframe the way you relate to that challenge. So it might be that you're saying, right, I didn't get what I wanted. So maybe what you do is you say, so therefore, what did I get? Or therefore, if I look at the feedback, then what would I have to do to allow myself to get that the next time I attempt to do it? Or even, I'm not even going to bother doing it again because it was clearly the wrong thing for me, but now I know I'm not going to waste my time doing that stuff anymore. There's always something you can take out of it, and that drives your convictions. Next up on the list, by the way, is this, identity. Who are you? And once you know who you are, who you really are, who are we? How do you identify? People see you all the time, but they might not know who you really are. And you might not know. People might have a completely different spin. You might look at me and say, there's a guy who knows this stuff. Or you might look at me and say, this guy just talks rubbish every morning. It doesn't really matter what you're thinking about it. It matters what I think about it, because that drives me to move forward. And my own personal phrase, my signature theme, is jump and grow wings on the way down. If you want to take a risk, but you think you can do it, but you're not really sure how to bridge that gap, you calculate as much as you possibly can and then just jump anyway. And as you're falling, you go, I know what to do. This is it. And the difference between the way I do it and the way many people do it is most people procrastinate and don't make that jump, so they never get any further. And that's why it's a big challenge. So for me, when it came to the lockdown and the digital challenges of being stuck indoors and not being able to go to physical gigs, I decided to reinvent myself. And part of that reinvention is to do shows like this all around the world from my laptop.
Yes.
Exactly, and it's really good. And it's working out very well for that, as well as I coach people all around the world to be able to do what I do so they can launch themselves and they can make money as well. And as they go on and do stuff, they create an ecosystem around them that is able to help them. So let's put the final piece in perspective then. What's your mission and your goal? How do you spiritually fit into everything? For me, it's simple. I want to teach people to be able to jump and grow wings on the way down. With that, I help people as much as I possibly can. Yeah, there is an ecosystem. I've still got to pay my bills. I've still got to look after my family. I've still got to have an emotional, for myself, an emotional leftover for my family, my parents, my friends, my colleagues, and my staff. But I also have to feel that there's a connectedness for me that allows me to feel that I'm on my goal and my mission to make the world a better place. When we talked, I think it was yesterday, about legacy and impact and who you truly will be when you pass on, and people don't remember because you're not there anymore, but you can make an impact on the world. That's my mission and my goal. as I've said before many times, I don't care if people don't remember who Dave Crane is. I really honestly don't. But what I do care about is that I've helped people to be able to deal with the challenges that I've got, or challenges that I've had. And one of the strange thing is, and you can see this again, so that's how it all stacks up. You got environment, you got behavior, you got skills, and you got conviction, and then you got identity, and you got your mission or goal. I realized through this summer of COVID and all the rest of it, that stuff I dealt with. Isolation, quarantine, I dealt with. The thing I found really challenging more than anything was Black Lives Matter stuff. And you're wondering, well, Dave, why does that matter to you? Why is it so challenging for you? It's because it's something I've never addressed before. I'd only ever really addressed the challenges that come from business, or, I mean, even for the point when I run my own company, and I have done for like 30 odd years. Why is it? Well, because I didn't want to go for a job interview and get rejected. So I've always just gone on my own, done my own thing, and it's great. I don't have to worry about people saying, Dave, we're not going to give, I don't care, I'm not asking. I'll do it myself. I'll make connections with the same people that you know. I'll just get them to work with me. And so actually I don't need your help, so thank you very much. I've always felt like that. But the Black Lives Matter thing helped me to understand my own identity, which is something I'd really had to reinvent. So part of my goal is to help people who do feel disenfranchised to be able to find their mission and goal and also work their way up from the very bottom, because maybe they've never felt that before. And I'm not just talking about black lives, I'm talking about brown lives, I'm talking about yellow lives, blue lives, green lives, white lives, everyone. I don't distinguish. I come from a family where my dad is white, my mum is black, my wife is Asian, my daughter's Blasian, combination. I've got friends from India, I've got friends from everywhere. So I don't see color, I just see when people are idiots, really. But that's got nothing to do with their background, their upbringing, their religions, none of that stuff. You just find people who are pockets and isolations of idiocy everywhere you go. So with that, I hope that kind of helps to allow you to understand why sometimes you do feel isolated, why sometimes you do feel exactly what this show is there to help you with, which is feeling like you're in a world that hates you. The world doesn't hate you. What the world actually does is it just doesn't care that much. But it wants you to work out where you fit in, because once you can fit in and you're able to actually work out your identity, which is a second thing of a level here, then you're able to work out what your goal is and how you make a big difference to the world. That was a lot of talking. Hey, but I talk a lot. This is a show where we're meant to talk. It's Speak on Stage. So now to the cheat sheets. This is a bit where I share with you lots of different ideas and lots of different thoughts on how you can work your way through. Now, they're always a suggestion. They're only because of the fact I've spent so many years as a journalist and as a therapist and as a businessman. I know the first steps that I would take. Once you've gone through the different cheat sheets that I've created, then feel free to Google, and feel free anyway to Google, it's your Google. It's worthwhile looking at the bits that are sticky on it, where you're going, I don't know what Dave means by that, and wonder what I would mean by Googling it. And then you find whole sections on that. The cheat sheets are intended to just get you to move slightly faster forward, or at least to give you some kind of basic roadmap on where you should be going to create some kind of happiness. So this is based on how to be deliriously happy for life. And hopefully at the end of this, you won't be deliriously happy, but at least you'll be able to get over those challenges and those anxieties that can feel like shackles around you, that make it really difficult for you to be able to move forward and find the levels of happiness that you truly deserve. Okay, so first of all, how to live in a world that you hate. Let's start with this. Understand the nature of hate. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, and it's a really useful thought to have. When you hate somebody, you don't hate the person. What you hate is the things about you that you don't like, that you see reflected in them as part of their values or some of the things that they do all the time. So when you reject somebody because they don't like them, you don't like it that they do stuff that you dislike about yourself. So they're actually a reflection of you. So when you don't like things about the world around you, in fact you hate them, let's just say hate, even though I think hate's a very, very strong term that you should use very sparingly because it codes this stuff into your mind that sometimes it's really hard to shake off. You understand that the nature of hate is just basically a very, 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 very intense dislike plus stress plus anxiety plus a number of other things that could be there to challenge you. So it's not necessarily that you hate something, but it is down to you to find a way of dealing with it as well. So as I say, the world doesn't hate you, but the world doesn't actually care about you either. You have to make the world care If that's what you're after, if one of your values is significance and to get people to want to be paying attention to you, then you have to give a reason for people to pay attention. Some people do that, for instance, by literally wanting secondary gain. And secondary gain is often a reason behind behavior that doesn't work for us particularly well. So let me give you an example. Somebody who smokes on a regular basis. Why would you smoke? Well, the secondary gain is when you have a cigarette, you feel peaceful and you can relax to the point where it programs you so you only feel relaxed with a cigarette. But the cigarette is killing you, and the killing you is getting you stressed. And so that getting you stressed makes you feel anxiety. And because you're anxiety and stressed, you'll have a cigarette. So the secondary gain is that you do a behavior which has something different that it helps you with, but it doesn't really help you with the same problem. So let's take, for instance, somebody who cries about themselves at parties, sometimes have a drink and it all comes out. You know, oh goodness me, don't give him a drink. Why? Tries to put the world to rest and then gets up really emotional. And you know people like that, or you didn't in the time we used to have parties. Well, the secondary gain is sometimes that by crying about themselves, they get all this free love from everybody. Oh, are you okay? Come, let's sit, just make sure we're all right. So they don't have to fix their problem, because if they do fix their problem, they won't get people coming over for free and spending quality time with them, telling them that they make them feel better. Does that make sense? Secondary gain. Okay. All right. Number 3, list what you're uncomfortable with. Make a long list of them all. If something's bothering you, write down all the things that bother you. Now, don't get too focused on that list, apart from to write it out once, because we're going to get rid of it. If you bring whatever you focus on, you start to tell your mind and program more of it. So, for instance, when somebody goes to a psychiatrist, or a shrink, as they used to call them, and they spend time with a shrink saying, well, you know, I'll do this, and when I was a child, that happened. And the shrink goes, let me write down a list of all the different problems and ailments that you have. Suddenly they start wearing that as a badge, not saying a big bit of paper stuck to your shirt, because that would look really stupid, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
But what I'm talking about is the fact that you start to think that all these labels are you. These labels are not you. These labels are just something at that time that somebody else has decided might be useful for you to know what they might be. So be very careful about how you use these labels and make sure that you're able to list them so you can get rid of them. That's all you got. So work out why each one bothers you so much. If somebody says to me, Dave, you're short and fat. Okay, so what? I don't have to be a friend, but I am kind of funny, and I love the way that my life is. If I want to deal with being short and fat, I can deal with being fat, I can work out. Being short, am I going to walk around on stilts? No, that's what I was given to play with, and at no point in my life have people turned around to me and said to me, you're short, so you're insignificant. I would not, for a second, put up with that shit. Sorry, I said a bad word then.
Right away.
I know.
Sure thing.
I know.
Certainly.
It's a bad word.
For the last time, no.
I won't say it again. But it was worth money, and it did make me feel better. Less stress. Ooh, new stress toy. Less stress when you let it all out. Let it all hang out sometimes. So work out why it bothers you so much. And sometimes there's a secondary gain behind it. Maybe sometimes it uncovers something about you that's true that you didn't really want to deal with. And if you do have that, and you do get things that come down to that really upset you, then maybe what you just do is accept it and go, you know what? I can't change it. I can't change being short. But why would I? I can't change the color of my skin, but why would I? The people who are offended by the color of my skin can go and kiss it. The people who like me don't notice it anyway. And I'm proud of it because that's what I'm sharing with my daughter. And my wife is a similar color. My family and everybody I love can be any color. I don't care. So don't let anything bother you, but that's nothing wrong with accepting it and realizing that it's a thing. And sometimes it is a thing. But hopefully the world is going to go and snap back into a world where everyone feels closer and they cherish and they enjoy diversity rather than the way it's been going in certain countries and countries I used to love, where people are going, no, we don't want to play with you because you're different from the way we are. That's horrible. It's a wrong direction. And I don't get political, but that's one of the things I hate about the world right now. But that's not my world. My world is full of wonderful people of different colors and different thoughts and ideologies. And I even enjoy hearing about people who are like that because it lets me know that the world is a whole load of different people put together. And it also allows me to understand that we're in a world where if you can define what's going on, there are very few surprises that can come back and hurt you. If you know what's the worst possible thing, somebody could be racist to you and not give you an opportunity, then that's fine. If that's the worst thing, I've got my head around it already. I just won't play with those people. Does that make sense? So therefore, reframing it is important. And number 5 is all about that. Once you've worked out it bothers you, chunk it down to individual bricks of a wall. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is, when you've got a problem, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. The idea is that, a big forest, can't see past it, too many trees. Or a brick wall right in front of you, stopping you from going where you need to. But you don't have to get past the wall. All you have to do is remove a few bricks, and then you can see straight through it. Move enough bricks, you can move straight through it. You don't have to knock the whole wall down. Just remove 1 or 2 bricks and repeat. So with that, it's often a very good way to examine it just by moving individuals and chunking them down. And then all the other things don't really matter that much because they weren't really bothering you. It just seemed like it was quite a lot facing you at that time. So for instance, let's take an example. You've got a challenge at work. You've fallen out with somebody, and so everybody started working against you because it feels like that because they disagree with what you did and they agree with that person was in the right or whatever. If you can turn around and apologize to that person and say, you know what, I was in the wrong, even if you don't care, but you can do it and they accept you, everyone comes back in, done. Challenge disappears. And you might say, Dave, that's being honest.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
Be true to yourself.
Of course.
Well, yes and no. Do you want the problem to go away or not?
Why not?
Exactly. So just do what it takes.
Yes.
Are you with me?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, so reframe everything to give you something you can deal with instead. Because with that, you can have something that you can take to the bank and makes a big difference. Because when you can do stuff that you can win with, then it also takes away the problem of feeling lonely and feeling miserable. And so number 7 is this. Work out what does make you feel miserable. And when you do work out what makes you feel miserable, move on to do this. Number 8. Which negative things, which negative people are influencing you in your life? Because being miserable, unless it's a chemical reaction to something, in which case you can take stuff for it, or you can just meditate or do breathing exercises that change a lot of this. Sometimes it's caused by an outside stimuli. An event comes along, you don't get the result you wanted. People come along and they make your life really difficult. Work out what they are and work out a better way of dealing with them. Once you've worked out what they are, what I do is very simple. I just don't play with them anymore. On this list here, number 9, remove them, ignore them, reframe your relationship with them, neutralize the impact they have, or just replace them. And you're saying, but Dave, you can't do that. How can you replace members of your family? Well, you can ignore them. Well, are you meant to do that? Well, yes, if they're doing you damage. If they're living in the house with you, then just go la, 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 la in your head quietly, a lot louder than the grief that they're giving you. Don't do it out loud in front of them, because if you go la, 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 you'll probably get one of them. And that will not be good, because then you'll be stickling you for a stress toy, and they know you've got a stress toy, and they know that you wound up, and that's not going to help you. It's just going to get you more wound up.
Right away.
So therefore, it's really important that you do choose the best action that will allow you to be able to move forward on your own. Anything. Remove, ignore, reframe, neutralize, or replace. Especially for life coaches, because you're going to be spending a lot of time helping people with this. Number 10, stop doing things that you hate and stop pleasing others. But I like pleasing others. Yeah, I know you like pleasing others. I like pleasing others as well, but not to the point where it hurts me. On a plane, and I've used this analogy many times, that if you ever fly again, the stewardesses, if we ever see them again, I don't even know if they do it anymore. They used to tell you where the fire exits were. They're here, here, and here. You've seen that before. But they'd also say to you, if an oxygen mask comes down, then put it on yourself first before you apply it to anybody else. Because if you put it on your kids, and your kids can breathe properly, but there's smoke coming up inside the cabin, and I'm really sorry if you're flying right now, or you're going to be flying soon, but with smoke coming up in the cabin, you cannot rely on your kids to lift you off the plane. So you put it on you first, and then you got enough oxygen to grab your kids and then start heading towards the exit. And the same is true for elements in your life. Fix and work out what makes you happy, so then you've got an abundance of happy to help other people. Now, some people enjoy the secondary gain of feeling rotten all the time and feeling negative. Now, that's their call, but it doesn't have to be you. For me, I prefer to be happy. And sometimes I like feeling crappy, because then I know that I'm going to feel better afterwards. There's a rainbow dew, and sometimes it's a nice temperature gauge for me to feel terrible. So therefore I can say, right, okay, stop. These are indicators around me saying that my world is wrong. I want to feel good again. What should I get rid of? It's like, for instance, when you feel sick and you get a temperature when you're not well. That's your body saying to you, slow down, don't ignore this. If your body didn't tell you that, and you carried on working through the ailments, there's a very good chance you'd drop dead. So pay attention to the clues around you. They are there for a reason. Sometimes you should ignore them. I do work generally through most of the illnesses that come to me, but also I've got an environment where I'm working relatively isolated, as we all do. So there's ways and means of making it effective for you. Okay, find positive anchors and build a brand new ecosystem. My ecosystem changes all the time. You may have noticed I sometimes say yes.
Sure thing.
And I sometimes say yes again.
Certainly.
And I sometimes say no.
I said no.
That, just like that. And I attribute it to Groot, who looks a little bit goneless over there. Groot, are you okay?
Of course.
Thank you. So that could be my way of doing it. And I find anchors that make me happy all the time. And sometimes I use them in the show, and sometimes I don't. I've not used Black Panther for a little while, but Black Panther makes me happy, especially after we lost Chadwick Boseman early in the year, as well as many other people that we lost early in the year. So I create anchors and things that make me feel good. The show makes me feel good. I reach thousands of people every day. I help enrich their lives, and I feel that I'm qualified to be able to do better every day. So I push myself. If I didn't have the show, doing this show, I'd have to find some other outlet, maybe writing a blog, or maybe coaching or something, but I combine them all together and it's really exciting. So you've got to find what works for you. What's your outlet? What's your anchor? And what's your new ecosystem? Remember when we looked at the cheat sheets before? We looked at that whole thing, and at the bottom was your environment. Have you got a good environment that's conducive for you to then start working on the best version of you? If you haven't, then you won't be able to start it at all because the basics aren't in place. Does that make sense?
Why not?
Thank you. All right then. So next up at number 12 is this one. You've got to do meditation or breathing or hypnosis or yoga or watching telly, whatever it takes to allow you to feel better. Now, I will be at some point in the future sharing with you the art of living. I will be moving on to getting interviews with people live on the show as well. And I'll chat to Kurti and I'll chat to Ilan and maybe some other people as well about it. I'll be getting tech on the shows. I'll be bringing on some experts on a load of different subjects in coming shows as well. I'm very excited about it because I've been setting it all up. But as I mentioned, all the time, I'm increasing what I do with a show. Every day, I've got to bring something new to the table that I hadn't been doing before. And it's also part of my Jump and Grow Wings idea, which is the fact I've got to challenge myself. It could go wrong. It could make a real idiot of me.
Yes.
But at the same time, it could be really lucrative. And it positions me really well for being able to work with people and say, this is what I do. Can I help you do it with you? And then people turn around and they say,
Absolutely.
So next up on the list is number 13. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Your brain is a supercomputer. Your brain will find more examples of whatever you focus on. So if you focus on negative stuff, your brain will say, right, the boss is interested in negative stuff. Let's find more negative stuff for him to look at or her to look at. If you focus on the good things that you want in your life, your boss will go, right, let's get more of them. Small victories. Sometimes, we're not going to get out of lockdown. We're not going to get rid of COVID overnight. We're not going to find a vaccine overnight. But what you can do is have little victories that make you feel better. Little things that it might be eating cheese makes you happy. So every now and again, pop out and eat some cheese. It just makes you go, and you feel a ton better. Little victories. For me, and I've emptied them, this was full of M&Ms. And I hadn't touched this. I hadn't even noticed it was empty for about a week or so now. Why? Because I'm so engrossed doing other stuff. And I'm enjoying other stuff. So I didn't need to pop an M&M when I was feeling a little bit low. I needed a bit of a sugar rush. So small victories to start you off is very important. And it doesn't matter what they are. They're victories for you. Other people might not think it's important. But you, it's very important. All right, number 14, stay busy. Okay? Fewer distractions that hijack your ability to stay busy. And I say stay busy, you can be busy and focused watching TV. If that doesn't depress you about the fact that you're not doing enough watching TV. I watch a lot of TV, I've got to be honest, but I do it to wind down. I don't watch a lot of it. I do it when I've just had enough. I'm just tired, I need a reward, my brain is a bit fried. I'll just watch TV and drool. And that's much. I don't actually drool. I'm just saying that I drool. If I drool, it'd be horrible. And especially wearing a white shirt, I'd be just covered in a patch like that. And it just looked terrible. If I did drool, I'd probably watch TV like this. See? So I could catch it. That tastes nice, but as I'm drinking it, I'm thinking, am I drinking drool? Let's change the subject. Let's go back to number 15, which is the final part of this. And number 15 is this. Get help. Professionals and free videos online all over the place. You can hire somebody who'll work with you specifically. You can get coaches who are giving their time on their energy and expertise for free. Or you can hire them, which is better because you'll probably get a better quality person because they do it for a living, and so they know they're going to be judged by the results that they get for you. But if you're just starting off, go online, have a look at YouTube, put the subject in and watch a video on it. A video on anxiety. Last night I pulled together 3 videos I shared with you today. It's not difficult to find them, but it is difficult sometimes to diagnose exactly what your problem is or your challenge is and how you can fix them. And so with that, sometimes it's useful to be able to just search around for a bit, watch a few videos to indicate what the challenges you might have, finding your challenges, and then from there you can move on. So I'm going to let you take a copy of this. You might want a screen share of how to live in a world that you hate. That's today's subject, all about anxiety and stress relating to your environment and how you can reframe yourself to be able to deal with it. Feel free to take a copy of this and share it with anybody else who might feel that they need something. Love your thoughts, love your comments, love the things that you say. It really does make a difference. Sometimes I do a funny show, sometimes I do a semi-serious show, sometimes I do a show where I really want to have an impact and help people specifically. And this is kind of one of those shows. So it's not as funny as it can be, but hopefully you're getting some genuine good stuff out of it.
Right away.
Is that a yes?
Sure thing.
Well, why don't you just say yes?
Certainly.
Why don't you just say yes?
Of course.
Say yes.
Why not?
Say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Some days are harder work than others. If you enjoy the show and you enjoy what I do and you like to work with me directly, then go to SpeakOnstage.com. There's a thing called the Industry Icon, and we're fleshing this out to be an incredible thing right now. I've got a number of people who are just graduating, so it's a great time to talk to me. Go online, go to SpeakOnstage. There you've got a number of modules. You can learn to speak like me for only $39 it is. Worthy investment? I think so. But if you like to work with me directly, I mean, that's for the video course and all the different things that go with it, the PDFs, the books, the audios. If you'd like to work with me directly, then go down to SpeakOnstage.com, go down to, say, book a session with Dave, and you can book a 10-minute session with me where we can go through everything you're doing and work out how you can really have a bigger impact on the business that you're running and the things that you want to make a difference in. Because I believe that right now is a great opportunity to position yourself as an industry icon or an expert thinker, because people are really amenable to it. They want to be led. They want to be helped. They want to be looking for influential stars and influential people in every industry who can lead them effectively to the promised land. So if you want to be seen as that person, it makes the marketing, it means social media, it means repositioning, it means creating content, partnerships, relationships, sponsorships, all sorts of things ending in ips. Hips. You've got big hips. No, you don't. But you get a general idea. Chap lips. No, that's a hips. Lip. It's not that. So with that, contact me directly.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll have a chat. I don't tell you how to get a job, but I do tell you how to get streams of revenue added to your existing job. Because I think it's very important that everybody makes as much money as they possibly can, especially right now, because there is plenty of money. It's just that most people don't know how to get it, and most people have a real challenge not feeling guilty when they do. Does that make sense?
Right away.
Cool. So with that, that's the Industry Icon program, and I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Contact me directly, and we'll see how I can help you. Hope you enjoyed today's show. It's always an utter pleasure to have you chilling and sharing your ideas with me. And I hope that you got a lot out of it. Today's show was it wasn't brutal, to be honest with you, but it was essential. So the stuff I shared with you was deliberately there to make you feel better about yourself, and also to understand that underneath the surface, there may well be a ton of things going on that you didn't know about, that it's psychologically working their way around and creating a framework or challenges that you didn't know were going to be there. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm tired. I know it's early because I get up early. And Maya's going to school now. Physically, I'll go to school. It's not like she wasn't going to school before, but she's online. So it's easy. You just wake her up, say, Maya, school. And she goes, and she gets a shower. She puts on her dress. She goes downstairs. She sits on the computer. Laptop starts working. Then it's break time. Then the laptop starts working. Then it's lunchtime. Break carries on working. And then she's done. Doesn't need to do anything. Now, she's got to get up, she's got to have breakfast, we're going to have a chat, we're going to work our way through spellings and stuff like that, and then she gets picked up and taken to school, then we pick her up and bring her back. Does that make sense? But there's a lot more early morning stuff I've got to do as daddy, because mummy is not an early morning person. And you're saying, yes, but you should share it. No. No. Trust me, I've tried it many times, and it's not going to work. She has to have her coffee before she looks at another human being. If it's in the wrong order, one of us isn't going to make it. And it's usually me. So therefore, that's the right kind of ecosystem.
Sure thing.
Okay? So with that, I get up early. I look after Maya. When mummy's ready, she gets up to play, but then she takes care of a ton of things, and I love her to bits. And she's brilliant at doing it. So with that, I'm sure you've got your own environment in your house, your own ecosystem, and sometimes you yawn while doing a live TV show. Hey, I didn't edit anything out. Why? Because it's live. If something goes wrong, you and I are the first people to know about it. So why do I do what I do? This is my own particular mission or goal. If you remember at the top of the pyramid that I showed you earlier, you remember I did that on the what do you call it? On the deep dive. This is what I'm talking about. My mission or goal and why I do the stuff I do is what I want to share with you next. It will make perfect sense, and I hope that you got a lot out of today's show as well. I look forward to catching you tomorrow. I've got another one already lined up with some really cool stuff. And as I say, the show's progressing. We're going to add some more stuff to it. Share this. Let people know that there's a show available in case you've never seen me do my stuff before. And I look forward to catching up with you in 24 hours, or at least on the next time that we tune in together. Have an amazing day. Look groovy, stay safe, be happy, and remember, tomorrow is always another day. Thank you. This is Speak on Stage. I grew up with a reasonable relationship. I had a great family. I had people who really cared about me. But one thing was true. I was lost. I was a little boy who didn't know black from blue. The color of my skin made a difference. When everybody around you is white, you start to question yourself. Where do I fit in? Do I know what's right? Do I know what's not right? When you leave it, in the end, I know a handful of people took the time to share with me ideas, to tell me some things that would make everything fall into place once and for all. And you know what? They didn't have to. They didn't have to tell me anything. They could have left me lost and alone. They could have had me, with nothing over my roof, no home. But instead what I got was a little bit of help, a little clue, a little something that made me feel that I could fit in. I could do something true. And that's why I'm here. That's why I share these ideas. That's why I'm in the Maldives with you. I want to share so much. But even a little bit is enough to sometimes get you through. Now, I don't think I'm brilliant. I'm under no illusion about what I bring to the table. I want to get you strong. I want to move you forward. I want to do a little bit to make you more able. I want to share some ideas like this. First of all, you never get time back. You are in charge of your own destiny, and what you get is your own fault, good or bad. I want you to know that you can never fail. It's all part of your learning curve. You'll never make mistakes, because at the time of doing something, you only do the best that you ever can do. I want you to know as well that you are the same as everybody else. You just make choices that make your life better, and better is down to happiness and finding your own tone, your own idea. But if you want to be stronger, the thing you've got to do is have an interest in everybody else and contribute and get them closer and get them through. There are lots of rules in life, but one of the most important things is to know that whoever you are, whatever you do, whatever you try and become, it's ultimately just down to you. You are all you need. You are enough. You don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to be superstars. You just have to be tough. because it's not easy, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to take you down, it's going to rip off your hair, it's going to make it so tough for you. Nobody gets through, nobody's left unaware, but I do believe in you, 100%. I know you can do it. I know that what the world is going to throw at you won't make any difference, because the end result is the end result, and it won't matter what people say. So why do I do what I do? If you haven't worked it out by now, let me share with you. I don't talk like this. I don't talk every day. I don't post. I don't give ideas just for me. I hope that with what I do, there might be one clue, one idea, one spark that you might not have got without having connected with me. My mentors, my friends, all the people that helped me along the way. Sometimes I paid, sometimes it was for free, but they made an impact that made me the person I am today. For you, I wish you the very best. I'm not pretending to be some motivational guru. I'm not pretending to be some guy that knows everything, because I guarantee you that I do not know. But I do know one thing. In what I say and what I do, there could be a little gem, a little spark that saves you perhaps a day or two. It could even save you a year. Or maybe when you realize that everything is driven and designed by you, for you, it might save your life or falling other people's lives and finding out who you should truly be. That's who I am. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I hope that as I chip away and share ideas, they make an impact on you.